My goal here is to hit 2,000 subscribers before the month of August, so if you do enjoy today's video or any ones you might have seen here in the past, please consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching. Type Lumina on the horizon. I see a lot of people asking whether they should be playing Melty Blood right now to prepare for it, or what they should do to be preparing for it. And I guess the short answer, if your question is whether you should play Melty Blood right now, is yes, right? But the long answer might be a little bit more helpful. And before we get into that longer answer, in the background here, what you're seeing is me practicing hit confirming, delay pressure, maybe doing some TK like input stuff, because I know that's a big deal in other games. But in Street Fighter V, which is the only other fighting game I've really played extensively, you don't have to do a lot of TK inputs in my experience, right? I played, the only time I had to do a lot of TK inputs was for Cammy, right? Doing Cammy's dive kick, which is still pretty forgiving in retrospect after playing a game that doesn't have the same input leniency that Street Fighter V does. So if you see me doing a bunch of random stuff in training mode in the background here, I figured it'd be nice to show you guys that I'm practicing what I preach and it's not just me talking out of my ass. Now, with all that said, let's talk about why I think you should play Melty Blood, even if you don't want to prepare for Type Lumina. You know, if you want to play Melty Blood, play the game and give it a shot. It's free at the end of the day. The community version is free, I should say. If you're trying to get into the game and you don't understand the different versions, the Steam version doesn't have rollback, so not a lot of people play it. The community version, which you can find on Reddit or whatever, if you just Google Melty Blood community version, you can find a link pretty easily. That's the one that everybody plays, you know, through the Discord and everything, and it has its own launcher. And of course, it has the rollback netcode that the Steam version does not have. I'm pretty sure I had the same discussion here almost verbatim whenever Strive was coming out. I tried to post some Rev 2 videos, I tried to learn Rev 2, but ultimately the game that Strive turned out to be was not anything like Rev 2. And that made me realize two things. One, that playing the last iteration of a game to prepare for the next one is not always the best idea. And two, as long as you're having fun, you're not wasting your time, you know. And the great thing about fighting games is any skills that you learn from one will most likely transfer to the others fundamentally. Fundamentally being like anti-airs or execution, you know, or like game plans and learning how to play neutral mind games and stuff like that will transfer very well to other games. I would say especially in anime games, most of the top players from like other anime games are usually at the top whenever the new ones come out, you know, like whenever Granblue came out, that was like my first anime game, I guess you could say. I'll say quote unquote anime game because I know it doesn't have like traditional stuff that the anime games did have. But there were players who I'd never heard of because I've never really been exposed to that sphere of the FGC yet. But players like Fame and like Jan and Tempest, who were very good at Granblue, were also very good at other games like Blaze Blue and some other titles that I probably have never even heard of. And when Strive came out, they're right up there at the top again. You know, it feels like the anime players are very much ready to adapt to any environment that they're dropped into, and they're ready to switch games a lot quicker than Street Fighter players, you know, or Capcom players, I guess you would call them. And I think that's just because they're pretty solid at a fundamental level at these games, so when they're dropped into a new environment, they know they can sort of hit the ground running, you know. I will say that Type Lumina does look a little different from Strive in the fact that based on the community's reaction and based on the little bit of Melty Blood that I've played so far and watched, the previews that they're putting out look very true to the game in a sense. You know, it looks like Melty Blood. When I see like the Arcway trailer and I see her do the combo with the air throw ender, I'm like, yeah, that looks like a Melty Blood combo. Or the way that her moves look, you know, she has some of the same moves that she has in the current game, and it's cool to be able to like recognize things in a new light. You know, you see the character that you're playing in real time, and then you can look at the new stuff that's coming out and say, hey, that looks like my character still, or that looks like the character that I might want to play in that game. I don't play Arcade, for the record, right? I play Alco if this is your first time here, but I did start on Arcade and she was a little too hard for me. So that could be like one advantage that you do have for playing Melty right now and then playing the new one, is that they do look fairly similar right now, so things might transfer over a little better. But I will say, don't play the current game for the sole intention of preparing for the next one, you know? Have some fun, learn some things, mess around with some characters that aren't revealed yet, you know? That's another big thing is I fell for that trap too. Whenever I was trying to learn Rev 2, is picking a character that's confirmed for the next game. Because in Rev 2, right, at the end, my only thing was I want to play this game to prepare for the next one. So I'm going to learn the universal mechanics, I'm going to learn how to move around, I'm going to learn things that'll transfer over, but I have to do it on a character that's confirmed for the next game. And there was nobody that I liked. You know, there was nobody that I liked in the roster. I still don't like anybody in Stride, to be honest with you. That's why I don't play it. But there were so many cool characters in Rev 2 that weren't coming to the new game, and one of those was Johnny. And I played Johnny for like a good 2 weeks. I did his trials. I messed around with him. I played a few games online in that delay-based netcode in the late-night Hawaii lobbies. I was playing on like 6-7 frames delay from Texas to Hawaii just because I wanted to play Johnny. He was cool, and he was really fun. And I was convinced that he was going to be on that starting roster because of how popular he was. And when he wasn't, I didn't feel like I wasted my time. You know, that's the lesson that I learned. I didn't feel like I wasted my time because I had fun. I learned some really cool technical things, some mechanical things, some execution tricks, and just a lot about Guilty Gear. And a lot about what a fighting game can offer you as somebody who wants to just learn. You know, somebody who just wants to absorb information and try and get better at something. That was genuinely the first time that I ever sat in a lab training mode for more than like 2 or 3 hours and couldn't get a combo at the end of it. I think that game and Melty Blood have that same link in the fact that it really challenges you execution-wise to nut up and shut up and just fucking learn what you gotta learn, you know? And just sit there and grind it out and figure out what you need to do. And it really helps you clean up your execution. You know, it really helps you clean up those extra inputs that you get in other games that the system might let you get away with. Like in Street Fighter 5, you can do like down, down, forward or something stupid and you get a DP. You really have to clean those inputs up in these games or it doesn't work. I came to Rev 2 to prepare for Strive. I came to Rev 2 to prepare for the next game, and I left feeling more comfortable execution-wise than I had playing Street Fighter 5 for like the last year and a half. So I guess this is all to say, if you want to prepare for type Lumina, play Melty Blood, but don't go into it with the sole intention of preparing for the next iteration of the game, but instead go into it trying to improve as a player. Whether you want to improve your execution, you want to improve your mind games, you want to improve your neutral, whatever it is. And if you can't really pinpoint what that is that you want to improve on, you're not alone. I'm right there with you. And the only way we can find our shortcomings is by playing the game, by giving it a chance, playing against other people, doing combos, doing what you got to do to show yourself your strengths and your weaknesses, right? And when you find those strengths, relish in them. But when you find those weaknesses, work on them. Because at the end of the day, you can learn all about the game you want. You can learn everything about Melty Blood there is to learn. You can learn every counter hit combo, every system mechanic, and everything. But if you can't retain and apply that knowledge to the game, it's useless. You know, it's useless. And beating that idea into yourself that I have a weakness that I need to work on and that it's not going to come naturally to me, it's hard. Anyways, I hope this helped you make a decision. And I hope that whatever you choose, you have fun with. Because ultimately, that's going to lead you to the most success. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.